Welcome back, everybody. We're diving into some fun news from British television today.
Sounds exciting.
It is. We're talking about Rebecca Ryan. You might recognize her from shows like Coronation Street or Waterloo Road or even Shameless.
Okay, yeah.
Well, she's expecting her second baby.
Wow. That's wonderful news.
It is.
And you know, what's really interesting about this is it's not just a typical celebrity baby announcement.
Right.
It's there's some really unique layers to this story, especially when you think about Rebecca's family connection to Coronation Street.
Okay, family connection to Coronation Street. Fill me in.
Yeah, so Rebecca's brother, James Ryan, is an actor as well.
Okay.
And get this, he played Jacob Hay on Coronation Street too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And to really understand why this is such a fascinating coincidence, we need to kind of take a step back and appreciate the cultural significance of Coronation Street itself.
Okay.
It's not just any soap opera. It's been running for over 60 years, which makes it a cornerstone of British culture. Think of it as like the UK's equivalent of General Hospital or Days of Our Lives, but with an even longer history and a more deeply ingrained place in the national psyche.
Yeah, 60 years is incredible. So having two siblings on a show like that, even at different times, is a pretty big deal.
Absolutely. It's incredibly rare. And what makes it even more intriguing is that they were both cast completely independently.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The producers had no idea that they were related until after Rebecca had already joined the show.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
That's wild. It's like a real-life soap opera plot twist happening behind the scenes.
Exactly. And it speaks to both of their individual talent that they both managed to land roles on such a competitive show.
Right.
And it makes you wonder what those early conversations on set must have been like, you know, when the producers realized they had siblings on their hands.
I bet there's some surprised faces. So speaking of Coronation Street, Rebecca's character, Lydia Chambers, definitely made a splash during her time on the show.
Yeah.
I mean, she was only on for about a year, but she really stirred things up.
Yeah, she did.
What I find interesting is she's had this really diverse career, appearing in shows like Waterloo Road, Casualty, and even Shameless, which is a completely different genre altogether.
You're right. That versatility is fascinating.
Yeah.
It suggests a real commitment to the craft of acting and a willingness to take on all these different challenges.
Yeah.
Transitioning between genres like that isn't easy.
Right.
It requires a certain level of adaptability and a strong understanding of character development.
Right. It's not just about playing a role. It's about inhabiting different worlds and connecting with audiences across these various landscapes and considering the demands of a soap opera schedule.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, filming almost daily, memorizing lines constantly, that takes real dedication.
Absolutely. Soap operas are notorious for their intense pace. You're essentially creating a new episode every single day.
Right.
To sustain that kind of workload for years, let alone decades,
Yeah.
takes a special kind of stamina and passion.
Okay, so let's talk about the baby news itself. Rebecca shared the announcement on Instagram with a photo of her baby bump, and the caption read, "Sleep is overrated anyway. Here comes baby number 2, followed by a red heart emoji."
Oh,
So playful and lighthearted, you know?
it is.
Doesn't it just scream excited second-time mom?
It definitely does convey a sense of joy and anticipation.
Yeah.
But what I find particularly interesting is her choice of words, sleep is overrated anyway.
Right.
It suggests a certain level of self-awareness and maybe even a bit of humor about the challenges of parenthood, especially with a newborn.
Good point. It's like she's embracing the chaos that comes with having a baby, even if it means less sleep.
Right. And it also hints at the reality of juggling a demanding career, like acting with the responsibilities of raising a family.
Yeah.
You know, it's a balancing act that many working parents can relate to.
Absolutely. And speaking of family, her brother, Jack, commented on her Instagram post with a sweet message. "Can't wait to meet my new best mate."
Ah.
It's so heartwarming to see that kind of sibling bond, you know?
It is lovely, but it also raises some interesting questions about the dynamics of siblings in the same profession.
Okay.
You know, while it's heartwarming to see such public displays of affection, one has to wonder if there's also an element of professional rivalry or comparison, especially in a field as competitive as acting.
That's an interesting perspective. It's like they have this built-in support system, but also this potential for competition.
Exactly. It adds this whole other layer of complexity to their relationship that's both fascinating and relatable, especially for anyone who has siblings.
Definitely. And this isn't the first time they've navigated this, unique dynamic.
Right.
Remember how Rebecca said that nobody at Coronation Street knew they were related until after she joined the cast?
Right.
She mentioned in an interview that she'd casually tell people, "Oh yeah, my brother works here." And they'd be like, "Really? Who's your brother?" "What, Jack?"
It's a hilarious anecdote.
It is.
It really paints a picture of the casual, almost family-like atmosphere on the set of Coronation Street.
Yeah.
It's not just a workplace. It's a community where people genuinely care about each other's lives.
And it speaks to the longevity of the show, right? Like,
Yeah.
to have that kind of close-knit environment after decades on air is pretty remarkable.
Absolutely. It's a testament to the show's culture and the way it fosters a sense of belonging among its cast and crew.
Right.
It's no wonder that actors like Rebecca and Jack feel drawn to a place like that.
It makes me think about the pressures of working on a show like Coronation Street.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a high-profile gig, and the fans are incredibly invested in the characters and storylines.
You're right. The pressure is immense.
Yeah.
Imagine the weight of carrying on a legacy that spans generations.
Oh, yeah.
Every decision you make, every line you deliver contributes to a narrative that's been unfolding for decades.
Yeah.
And for younger actors like Rebecca and Jack, it must be both exhilarating and daunting to step into that world.
Right. And especially with social media now, the scrutiny is amplified.
Definitely. The boundaries between their public and private lives become blurred,
Yeah.
which can be particularly challenging when navigating major life events, like starting a family.
Okay, before we get into the implications of raising a family in the public eye, there's one more adorable detail we need to cover.
I'm all ears. I love a good heartwarming story.
Well, Rebecca also has a daughter, Aurora, who turned 1 last April.
Oh.
And she celebrated the occasion with a touching Instagram post.
Okay.
She wrote, "My darling girl, Aurora, where has this year gone? The immeasurable joy and love you have brought into my life is something I will be forever thankful for. Your cheeky smile lights up every room, and I just love watching you grow and change every single day. You are the best thing that has ever happened to me. Happy first birthday, my girl."
That's precious. And it highlights a crucial point. While we're focusing on this exciting new arrival,
Yeah.
there's already this little one at the heart of this growing family.
Exactly. It's a reminder that this isn't just about a pregnancy announcement. It's about expanding a family and building those precious bonds.
And it makes me wonder how Rebecca will navigate the transition from one child to two,
Yeah.
especially while continuing to pursue her acting career. It's a theme that resonates with so many working parents.
For sure. And I'm sure she'll find her own rhythm, just like she's navigated all the other twists and turns of her career and personal life.
Yeah.
So as we move into the next part of our deep dive, I think it's worth considering.
Wait, before we move on, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that Instagram post.
Okay.
What struck you most about Rebecca's words? It felt so genuine and heartfelt. Does it remind you of any similar experiences, perhaps your own children's birthdays?
Oh, absolutely. When my youngest turned 1? Oh, absolutely. When my youngest turned 1, it was such a whirlwind of emotions.
Yeah.
You're so proud of how much they've grown, but there's also this bittersweet feeling of time flying by.
Right.
I can only imagine how those feelings are amplified when you're also navigating a career in the public eye.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It adds another layer of complexity to the experience.
Yeah.
It's not just about balancing work and family.
Right.
It's also about managing public perceptions and protecting your children's privacy.
Right. And speaking of public perception, Rebecca has been quite open about the challenges of motherhood, especially in relation to her career. She once said in an interview, "It's definitely a juggling act. There are days when I feel like I'm failing at both, but then I remind myself that I'm doing the best I can, and that's all that matters." I think that's such a relatable sentiment for any working parent,
It is.
whether they're in the spotlight or not.
What I find fascinating about that quote is her honesty.
Yeah.
She's not trying to portray this perfect image of effortless motherhood.
Right.
She's acknowledging the struggles, the doubts, the moments of feeling overwhelmed.
Right. Yeah.
And by doing so, she's normalizing those feelings for other parents who might be going through similar experiences.
Exactly. It's refreshing to see that kind of authenticity, especially from someone in the public eye. It breaks down those unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
And creates a space for open conversations about the realities of parenthood.
Absolutely. And it also highlights the importance of self-compassion.
Right.
We often put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect parents.
Yeah.
But the truth is, there's no such thing.
Yeah.
What matters most is showing up for your children with love and presence, even on the days when you feel like you're barely keeping it together.
So true. It's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly. And speaking of progress, it's interesting to consider how Rebecca's career has evolved alongside her journey into motherhood. It seems like she's been very intentional about the role she's taken on since becoming a mom.
You're right. She's been drawn to characters with more depth and complexity, roles that challenge her as an actress and allow her to explore different facets of human experience.
It makes me wonder if motherhood has influenced her approach to acting, perhaps giving her a deeper well of emotions to draw from.
That's a really interesting thought. It's like motherhood has unlocked a new level of empathy and understanding, which she's able to channel into her work.
And it speaks to her growth as an artist.
Yeah.
She's not just relying on technique anymore. She's bringing her whole self to the table, her experiences, her vulnerabilities, her joys, her sorrows. It's that authenticity that makes her performances so compelling.
I totally agree. And it makes me even more excited to see what she does next, both professionally and personally. Speaking of her brother, Jack, it's interesting to compare their career trajectories.
Yeah.
They both started out in British television, but their paths have diverged somewhat.
That's a great observation. While they both share a passion for acting and have achieved success in the same industry,
Right.
their choices have led them down different paths.
Right.
Jack, for example, has focused more on theater work, while Rebecca has primarily stayed within television.
It makes you wonder if there's a conscious decision there or if it's simply a reflection of their individual interests and opportunities.
Perhaps it's a bit of both. It's fascinating to consider how siblings, even those as close as Rebecca and Jack, navigate their own ambitions and forge their own identities within a shared field.
And it highlights the fact that success isn't a one-size-fits-all concept.
Right.
What might look like success for one person could be completely different for another. It's about defining your own goals and pursuing them with passion and authenticity.
Absolutely. And in a field as subjective as acting,
Yeah.
it's even more important to have a strong sense of self and a clear vision for your career. It's not just about landing roles, it's about choosing projects that align with your values and aspirations.
Right. And speaking of aspirations, you think Rebecca and Jack ever envisioned sharing the screen on Coronation Street?
Oh, interesting.
It's such a unique coincidence,
Yeah.
and one that could have easily been orchestrated if the producers had known they were siblings.
It's a fascinating question.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if there was ever a moment, even in jest, where they imagined working together on the show. And it highlights the unpredictable nature of the entertainment industry. Sometimes the most unexpected twists of fate lead to the most compelling stories.
And in this case, it's a story that's still unfolding, with Rebecca expecting her second child and Jack continuing to explore new avenues in his career. Who knows what exciting chapters lie ahead for this talented duo?
It's a reminder that life is full of surprises and that the best stories are often those that we don't see coming.
Right.
And as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Rebecca Ryan, I think it's worth considering.
As we wrap up this deep dive into Rebecca Ryan's world, I think it's worth considering the broader context of sibling actors in the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenon we've seen time and again, from the Olsen twins to the Hemsworth brothers.
Right.
And it always sparks curiosity. What do you think it is about growing up with a sibling in the same field that either fuels collaboration or breeds competition?
It's a fascinating dynamic, isn't it?
Yeah.
On one hand, you have this built-in support system, someone who understands the unique pressures and demands of the industry.
Right.
You know, they can offer guidance, encouragement, and a shared perspective that's invaluable. But on the other hand, there's also the potential for rivalry,
Right.
especially when both siblings are vying for similar roles or recognition.
It's like having your biggest cheerleader and your toughest critic all rolled into one.
Precisely. And it makes you wonder how those dynamics play out in families like Rebecca and Jack's.
Yeah.
Are they celebrating each other's successes wholeheartedly, or is there a tinge of envy mixed in?
Right.
Do they see each other as collaborators or competitors?
Right.
These are questions that likely evolve over time as their careers progress and their personal lives intertwine.
And it's not just about sibling rivalry, right? There's also the question of nature versus nurture.
Oh, yeah.
Are some families simply predisposed to artistic pursuits, or is it the environment they create that fosters those talents? It's a bit of a chicken and egg scenario.
Wow. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's impossible to disentangle the threads of genetics and upbringing completely.
Yeah.
But what we can say is that having a sibling who shares your passion can create a powerful feedback loop. They can inspire you, challenge you, and push you to grow in ways you might not have imagined on your own.
It's like having a built-in accountability partner for your dreams.
Exactly. And in a field as unpredictable and emotionally demanding as acting, that kind of support can be invaluable.
Right.
It can help you navigate the inevitable rejections, the self-doubt, and the constant pressure to prove yourself.
And it's not just about emotional support, right? There's also the practical side of things.
Of course.
Having a sibling who understands the ins and outs of the industry can be a huge advantage, especially early in your career.
For sure.
They can offer advice on agents, auditions, and the nuances of navigating the business side of things.
You're right that insider knowledge can be incredibly helpful. It can save you from making costly mistakes and give you a leg up in a competitive field. And in the case of Rebecca and Jack, who both worked on Coronation Street, albeit at different times, there's a shared experience that connects them in a unique way.
It's like having a secret language.
Yeah.
A set of inside jokes and references that only they understand.
Exactly. And that shared history can create a bond that goes beyond the typical sibling relationship.
Right.
It's a bond forged in the fires of a shared passion, a mutual understanding of the challenges and triumphs of their chosen path.
So as we reflect on this deep dive into Rebecca Ryan's world, what key takeaways would you leave our listener with?
For me, it's the reminder that even seemingly simple events, like a baby announcement, can unravel into these multifaceted stories that touch on family dynamics, career choices, and the unpredictable nature of life.
Yeah.
It's also a testament to the power of human connection, both within families and within the broader community of artists who support and inspire each other.
Beautifully said. And for me, it's the realization that success isn't linear. It's not always about achieving fame or fortune. It's about finding your own path, pursuing your passions with authenticity, and surrounding yourself with people who believe in your dreams.
And sometimes it's about embracing the unexpected twists and turns that life throws your way.
Right.
And finding joy in the journey, even when it takes you down a road you didn't plan on.
Well said. So to our listeners out there, we hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into the world of Rebecca Ryan and her growing family.
Yeah.
It's been a delight to uncover the layers of this story with you and to explore the fascinating dynamics of sibling actors, the enduring legacy of Coronation Street, and the ever-evolving journey of parenthood.
And as we leave you to ponder all of this, we encourage you to reflect on your own family connections, the choices that have shaped your path, and the unexpected moments that have made your story uniquely yours.
Until next time, thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.